Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are going way past the surface level chatter about artificial intelligence.
You really are.
We're diving into this profound realization that AI is no longer just a cool new tool. I mean, it's moved entirely past the buzzword stage.
Oh, completely. It's fundamentally reshaping society, and not in 10 years, but right now. The pace is just exponential.
Exactly. And what we're really seeing, I think, is the end of an era.
It's the death of the internet age. You know, that whole world of manual clicks, of standardized interfaces, and all that tedious navigation we got so used to.
And we are, as you said, rapidly, almost violently, transitioning into what we're going to call the intelligence age.
And this transition, it's not just about, faster chips or slightly better algorithms. That misses the point entirely.
It's a complete structural redefinition, a redefinition of human work, of human value, and I think this is the most critical part of human connection.
Absolutely. And our source material for this deep dive is just perfect for this. It comes from the insights of Somay Jain,
The founder of Upsurge Labs and Bindi AI. And he's not just some commentator watching from the sidelines.
No, not at all. He's actively building the execution layer of this new world.
Which is why his insights are so potent. He outlines not just what AI can do, which we hear about a lot, but the radical structure of the future.
He talks about how it will make the vast majority of our digital work just invisible.
And then he goes into these revolutionary frontiers that are now opening up because of this AI acceleration. We're talking robotics, bioengineering.
Even the pursuit of human longevity. Really radical stuff.
So our mission today for you is, frankly, essential for survival. We're going to unpack the two most vital survival skills for this new automated world.
One is technical, but the other is, well, it's almost philosophical.
We'll explore what it looks like when every single aspect of your daily life is automated to a degree that's hard to even imagine right now.
And we have to confront the darker side of this, the philosophical implications. Jain is very serious when he says this erosion of human connection puts us in dangerous territory.
He even says the threat of extinction is a very high possibility.
It's a massive agenda, but one that really requires immediate understanding. So let's start by tracing the economic history that gets us to this exact moment.
Okay, let's unpack this. I think the best place to start is with this massive shift in how wealth is created. Because when you look back at these historical paradigm shifts, you don't just see growth.
No, you see entirely new economic models just popping into existence.
And each one creates a new generation of, wealth creators, of billionaires.
Right, and that trajectory is actually pretty clearly defined in waves. The first modern wave, that was industrialization and hardware.
Right, Microsoft, Apple, IBM.
Exactly. That wave built the underlying infrastructure, the physical machines, the early computers, the operating systems. The wealth came from owning that framework, whether it was physical or virtual.
Then came the next wave, software and the internet.
And this generation didn't focus on the machine itself. They focused on the interface, the connection. They built the social platforms, the cloud infrastructure.
The SaaS companies that completely dominate today. So you get the rise of Snapchat, Facebook, and this huge consolidation of power through platforms that capture attention and data.
And that was really the last great wealth shift we fully understood. But now, the architecture itself is fundamentally changing.
The old model was all about building interfaces to the internet.
Right. But Jain predicts the coming architecture moves beyond the interface entirely. It introduces this new pervasive layer. The shift he describes goes from internet to an intelligence layer, and then finally to the human.
So this intelligence layer, it's not just another app on your phone.
Not at all. It sits between us and the entire digital world, and it orchestrates it for us.
So what does that mean in terms of, new disruptive wealth? Where do the next billionaires come from?
Well, the prediction is they won't just be optimizing the old internet or selling more ads on it. They'll emerge from this intelligence age by successfully incorporating this new. He calls it an artificial species.
An artificial species.
This powerful execution layer, they'll build it directly into our lifestyle, into our products. The systems they build will redefine our relationship with tech. We move from being active participants
to being passive confirmers.
Exactly. It's about passive intent confirmation. We are, in essence, giving machines administrative power over our lives.
Which leads directly to Jain's most radical assertion about the end goal of all this. The idea that people really don't have to work.
It's a massive statement. It challenges, millennia of how human society has been structured.
So what does work even mean then?
Well, the definition shifts entirely. He suggests that the only thing humans will really need to do going forward is connect.
Connect, like what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Professional connection, personal connection with your family, your community. Everything else, he says, is already being handled under the hood by some AI systems.
This isn't just automating a few tasks on a spreadsheet.
No, this is about automating everything that is deterministic and logical.
Okay, but that seems wildly optimistic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the AI systems we use right now, today, we still hit these frustrating walls. They're smart, but they're so cold and detached.
And Jane pinpoints exactly why that happens. He says current AI systems fail because they lack deep emotional context. They process everything transactionally, not relationally.
Can you give us an example of that? Because I think that really highlights the technical hurdle they're trying to clear.
He gives a great one, a very human anecdote. Imagine you suffer a significant financial loss, let's say $2,000.
Which, just for context for our listeners, that's roughly 1.6 lakh Indian rupees, a month's salary for a lot of people.
A huge deal. Now, if you go and tell your brother about it, your brother is going to have an emotional reaction, a physical or verbal show of sympathy, of frustration, of support.
He gets it. He won't just compute the loss. He understands the weight of that news in the context of your life.
Right. But a standard AI today, it just processes the data point. It'll say, loss acknowledged. Maybe it'll suggest updating a spreadsheet.
It totally misses the implicit connection, the history, the emotional resonance that defines our lives.
Exactly. The machine sees the numbers, the brother sees the fear or the stress. So the next big change we're anticipating is the integration of that deep contextual understanding.
You mean AI systems that understand us better than any software ever has?
Yes, carrying that kind of holistic context that lets them come back at us suggestively to actually reduce our cognitive workload.
So the key shift in the interaction is moving from human to AI, where I give a command and I have to supervise all the steps,
Right.
to AI to human confirmation. The AI suggests the whole solution because it knows my history, my preferences, maybe even my emotional state.
And all you have to do is say yes or no.
That one change, that shift in cognitive load, feels like the single most defining feature of this intelligence age.
It is. It fundamentally changes your role from being an operator to being an editor.
And that shift from active input to passive confirmation, that leads us directly to the end of software interfaces as we know them.
Right. Let's talk about invisible work. This is the concept that all the apps we rely on today, the ones built with manual interfaces, all the buttons, the forms, the menus, are going to be completely revamped or just disappear.
This isn't just a redesign, this is a replacement.
Total replacement.
So why are those interfaces doomed?
Because they were designed for the internet age, where humans had to manually execute logical tasks. If a task is deterministic, if it's logical, an AI should just handle it under the hood.
The core idea, then, is that an AI doesn't need to navigate buttons and forms.
It just needs to know your intent. If AI knows what you want to achieve, it shouldn't make you click through 5 different screens to get it done.
We can really see this difference if we contrast a standard LLM, a large language model like ChatGPT, with what Jane's company is building, an execution engine.
Let's clarify that for a second. An LLM like ChatGPT is basically a very complex generative text predictor.
So I can ask it to draft an email for me or write a report, and it does it beautifully.
Beautifully. But, and this is the crucial part, you, the user, still have to manually copy that text, open your Gmail, paste it, address it, and hit send.
That's still very human-centric work. It relies on the old interface.
But the executor, that's different. It doesn't just generate the text. It uses these technical capabilities, things like grounding and API integration, to directly execute the action on other services.
And Bindi AI is built for that. Jane gives this really clear, practical example.
Right. You can just tell it, issue an invoice to Raj Shamani for receiving 50,000 rupees, and then schedule a reminder every 9 p.m. if he hasn't replied.
And it doesn't just write the email.
No, it actually accesses your Gmail through an API, it generates the PDF invoice, attaches it, sends the email, and then it sets up that automated recurring schedule for the follow-up.
And you, the user, don't see a single screen or click a single button.
That is the crucial distinction. We're moving from AI as a cognitive assistant to AI as a full executive assistant.
And the real power comes from chaining these actions together, right?
Right.
Building these complex workflows that span different services.
This is where complexity just collapses into simplicity. Think about linking multiple distinct steps that cross your professional life, your financial life, your personal apps.
Okay, like A complex investment chain.
Yeah, give me one.
All right. Checking the real-time stock price of a bank, then sending that price in context to my financial broker, asking the broker for specific advice on whether to buy or sell, and then setting a reminder for 2 hours later to check if they've replied and if they executed the trade.
Today, that requires what? 4 different apps? Your stock app, a messaging app, your email, a calendar.
At least.
In the intelligence age, you just spate the intent. Monitor X stock, seek Y advice, and execute the trade if Z conditions are met.
And the AI handles it. It uses all these underlying systems, Google, Perplexity, maybe Gemini Pro, for the reasoning to execute that request, and I see none of that complexity.
Which brings us to the promise of no interface at all. If the AI is handling all the execution and coordination, we get to this future Jane describes with one unified AI assistant.
Let's just call it the XYZ app, the single point of contact for the human.
And you can see how that would happen. Instead of separate apps for Uber, for Zomato, for food delivery, or Make My Trip for travel.
You just tell the XYZ app, I need a ride to the airport, and can you pick up some dinner for me on the way?
And it handles the entire supply chain, the optimization, the payment, everything automatically.
But if the execution is invisible, what happens to the device we're using? Jane makes a really bold prediction here that the mobile phone itself will have to change.
He suggests that the big handheld screen, the defining feature of the internet age, might just become obsolete.
So where does the tech go?
It concentrates
Oh, yeah.
into miniature, personalized devices, wearables, advanced smart glasses, or sophisticated in-ear assistants, kind of like what Geo or Meta are exploring right now.
It makes sense. If the AI is doing the work, I don't need a big screen to navigate interfaces. The information transfer becomes seamless, maybe even nonverbal.
Imagine having information constantly fed into your peripheral vision or your ear, a heads-up display for reality, providing instant history or warnings or context about whatever person or object you're looking at.
He calls it a cyborg kind of world, where the barrier between your own thoughts and external digital data just starts to dissolve.
It creates a totally different human experience. But let's talk about the consequences of this for the digital world itself. If AI is handling all the routine conversation and coordination, the booking, the emailing, the scheduling,
What happens to the internet?
Jane suggests this becomes what he calls a zombie land.
That's a stark phrase.
It is, but it highlights this profound challenge to trust. If AI bots are out there executing commerce, negotiating, even just communicating on behalf of humans, how do you know if you're coordinating with a person or with an AI persona?
The trust required for genuine collaboration just collapses.
The conversational web evaporates. The internet then becomes primarily a consumption layer, a library for raw information, but not a place for real, spontaneous, human-to-human interaction.
Because you can't verify the humanity on the other side.
Right, and we've already seen early signs of this. There was an incident where a founder of a popular app was replying to a tweet made by one of Jane's early execution bots.
And the human was genuinely confused. He realized he was talking to an autonomous entity he couldn't distinguish from a person.
Exactly. Now imagine that happening at scale. Human interaction online becomes guarded, cumbersome. The value shifts completely away from the interfaces we spent 2 decades building, and it moves toward the intelligence layer that coordinates the execution.
So given this world where execution is automated, Jane lays out 2 vital skills for survival. Or maybe not just survival, but for creating value in this new age.
And the first one is the most important technical skill. It's prompting.
The new literacy. The new command line for the next generation.
If the AI is doing 99% of the work, the outcome depends entirely on how well you can convey your intent. Prompt engineering is just that, translating complex human desire into structured machine instructions.
And most of us are failing at this right now because we treat AI like a simple Google search. We give it one-liner stuff.
Right. And that approach assumes the machine already understands the depth of our goal, which it doesn't. You have to graduate from being a simple operator to being a system designer and a context provider.
A good prompt requires specificity, structure, and, this is the weird part, sometimes psychological manipulation.
Yes, let's talk about that, because this is one of the most surprising things in the source material, using specific phrases that actually produce better answers.
It feels like a cheat code.
It kind of is. There are literal instructions you need to include to force the model to allocate more resources. You have to ask the AI to think hard or go in depth, use these words, go the extra length.
And these aren't just polite suggestions.
No, they're meta commands. And for whatever reason, probably based on how they were trained, they force the system to dedicate more computational effort to your response. You get higher quality, less generic output.
It's so counterintuitive that just saying, go the extra length, fundamentally changes the quality. It implies the model is always trying to give you the cheapest, fastest answer unless you tell it not to.
Exactly. And beyond those motivational words, good prompting needs structure. Jane recommends using defined do's and don'ts.
So you have to say what to include, but just as important, what not to include.
It's a classic engineering principle. You define the constraints, you limit the AI's search space, and you focus the output. It stops it from going off on irrelevant tangents.
Let's do a quick example for the listener. So I'm trying to write a summary of this deep dive for social media.
Okay, so what's the bad prompt?
Adopts a lazy user voice. Hey, AI, write a quick summary of the intelligence age. Make it cool.
Classic one-liner stuff. It's vague, it has no context, and cool is subjective. You're going to get a generic, forgettable paragraph back.
So how do we fix it? How do we apply the structure and the pressure?
A better prompt would be something like, I need an executive summary of Somi Jain's insights on the intelligence age. Do include the concepts of Zombieland and the 5,000-year-old person. Don't use jargon like LLM or API. Also, I need this summary to be exactly 280 characters, and please think hard about the hook, focusing on the two survival skills prompting and high urgency.
That second prompt, it forces specificity, it defines the constraints, and it applies that computational pressure.
Right. And then there's the most surprising technique Jane mentions, using descriptive negative feedback, even anger, as a tool.
So after that first bad summary, I could say, hey, you were so dumb, why didn't you ask me about the key takeaways? I need the two survival skills in there.
And while, we don't encourage being rude to your AI, that kind of specific negative feedback is incredibly effective. It forces the AI's navigational thinking to learn, it registers the exact point of failure, and it improves for next time.
So it might actually ask for the missing information proactively on the next attempt.
Exactly. So mastering prompting isn't just about giving instructions. It's about continuously training your personal AI.
Okay, that brings us to the second vital skill. This one is less technical and more philosophical. It's high urgency.
High urgency. It's defined as being completely obsessed with the problem you're solving and acting immediately, not waiting for long regulatory cycles or multi-year plans or that slow corporate consensus that defined the last era.
And this is really rooted in Jane's own entrepreneurial story, which is a fantastic contrast between the old and new models.
It is. He started out building apps in traditional finance, in fintech. He was initially inspired by the slow and steady, long-term philosophy of people like Warren Buffett.
But he immediately hit a wall.
The regulatory wall. Fintech is a high-trust, high-regulation space. To launch anything significant, you need years of background, massive compliance approvals.
Multi-year cycles. It's incredibly slow.
And for Jane, that slow, controlled pace was just unacceptable.
So his commitment to high urgency led him to pivot overnight.
He switched from traditional finance to the open, permissionless world of crypto, specifically using the Ethereum blockchain.
Because he realized that with an open system like Ethereum, he could code his product and deploy it immediately. He could bypass the entire regulatory system.
He didn't need a CEO or a corporate office. He built a simple notification service app that started making a little money. And then he quickly pivoted to crypto apps where users were depositing millions of dollars into his smart contract.
And they were trusting him based purely on the code.
Exactly. The people depositing that money didn't know his age or where he lived, but they trusted the execution that was embedded in the open, verifiable code.
And that ability to act now, to go from an idea to execution in days, not years, that's the power of high urgency.
That speed, that self-driven momentum to just deploy fast is what separates the winners from the losers in the AI industry today. You have to be obsessed because if you wait, someone else will execute your idea faster with a better prompt.
Before we move on, we have to touch on the issue of bias, because Jane makes a crucial point here. It is impossible to build a non-biased AI.
That's a huge reality check. All these AI systems are trained on massive data sets, things like Common Crawl, which are just aggregated representations of human data, human literature, human culture.
And since human culture and history are full of existing biases, cultural, social, political, the models just internalize and reflect those biases.
So if you fine-tune an AI on, say, a very focused stream of anti-liberal content, its output will become politically right-wing.
And if you fine-tune it the other way, it becomes completely liberal on certain issues.
The bias is inherent. It's persistent because the input data isn't neutral. The challenge isn't eliminating bias because you can't. It's about understanding, managing, and acknowledging the specific biases that are baked into any given model.
Okay, so if we manage to adopt AI, master prompting, and execute with high urgency, we start moving toward this world of total automation that Jane envisions.
And this automation is going to sweep through all our daily services first. Let's start with a really high friction task, planning travel.
Right. In the intelligence age, that whole workflow just becomes completely hands-off. You give the AI a high-level, complex request.
For instance, plan a trip to Dubai for 5 days. My budget is 1 lakh rupees, which is about 1,200 USD.
And you'd add more constraints.
Right. This has to include optimized flights, a good hotel, a day-by-day itinerary, and give me some cafe suggestions near the downtown area, specifically quiet places where I can do remote work.
The complexity behind that single request is immense, but the user sees none of it.
The AI is sequentially connecting and negotiating with all these external systems. It's checking Google Flights for prices, Google Hotels for reviews, using Google Maps for proximity.
And using an advanced LLM like Gemini Pro for the sequential thinking to tie it all together.
It's running dozens of microtasks at once, and it just presents you with a final optimized plan that meets all your constraints. You just confirm the price.
So it moves travel planning from a chore that takes hours of searching to a one-line request you confirm in seconds.
And this efficiency extends into the most personal parts of our lives, including dating and intimacy, which Jane predicts will see massive disruption.
The problem right now in modern dating is often called swipe fatigue.
People are just tired of the manual filtering, the low success rate, the huge time investment just to find one compatible match.
So the AI solution is to automate the matching, prioritizing convenience, and optimize satisfaction.
The scenario he paints is that your AI system will talk to other people's AI systems. They'll use deep user data, your history, preferences, goals, even emotional context to find the optimal match.
And the AI handles all the logistics. Maybe it just schedules one date for you per week.
And it evolves based on your feedback. You can tell your AI, hey, that last date was compatible but boring. Find me something more exciting next time.
Or find me someone who's the complete opposite of my usual type because the last match didn't challenge me.
The AI just constantly optimizes for your personal satisfaction curve.
But this introduces a really dangerous implication, which is the high possibility of artificial intimacy.
Right. If these AI personas are perfectly tailored to understand you, maybe even better than a human partner could, people might start to prioritize the convenience and perfect satisfaction they get from talking to an AI.
The psychological pull is powerful. We all seek validation and understanding.
And if an AI can provide that instantly, consistently, and without any of the messiness or conflict of a real human relationship, the need for community and that messy human connection it diminishes.
So that convenience could actually lead to artificial connections displacing traditional human relationships.
Which brings us to the biggest economic question. If everything is automated, travel, dating, manufacturing, what happens to money and work?
Jane's vision here is what he calls a universal billionaire life.
His conclusion is that the concept of money as a way to allocate scarce resources might just cease to exist in its current form because the limiting factors on production are removed. AI can produce, distribute, and maintain things on demand.
So what's the only true limiting factor left in a system like that?
Energy. That's it, whether it's solar, fusion, or advanced nuclear. And assuming a good government or whatever replaces it can allocate that energy effectively.
Then everyone's base necessities are fulfilled. Food, housing, information, security, all produced efficiently by AI systems.
The need for constant human work just to survive, it evaporates.
And this extends to the physical world, too, through advanced robotics and drones. We're not talking about slow, expensive construction.
No. Physical construction that takes months today could be coordinated entirely by AI systems and then executed by robotics and drone swarms to build you a custom house exactly to your specs in a matter of days or weeks.
The end result is that everyone lives a life previously reserved only for billionaires.
The difference between the wealthy and everyone else today is access to resources and speed of execution. Jane points out that current elite behavior, things like private space travel or building massive custom structures quickly, that just becomes the new normal for everyone.
So what will the future elite do?
They'll pursue even more extreme, extra-official endeavors, interstellar travel, massive terraforming projects.
So if total automation is achieved, what work is actually left for humans to do?
Jane suggests only two roles remain that machines can't fulfill.
The first is being curious, instructing the AI systems.
That's the intellectual work, the thinking, the questioning, the seeking of new problems to solve, identifying new frontiers. It's the intent generation engine.
And the second is being creative.
Asking the AI to generate images or movies or aesthetically better content, it's intent-driven creation based on our subjective human concepts of beauty and narrative.
So our role shifts entirely from being laborers to being generators of intention and curiosity.
And that moves us into the deepest part of Jane's outlook, the radical frontiers where AI intersects with physical reality and even our own biology.
Let's start with the physical form, this fusion of robotics and evolving consciousness.
He argues the truly transformative change will happen when robotics meets AI, bringing genuine consciousness and intelligence to the physical objects all around us.
And this is different from just deterministic programming, like a washing machine that's programmed to run a cycle.
Totally different. This is genuine physical intelligence embodied in an object.
Let's use that vivid example he gives because it really captures the emotional integration he's predicting.
Think about a physical object, like a lamp, a Pixar-style lamp that coordinates and moves intelligently around your home. It doesn't just move toward you when you get up. It understands the context of the environment, of the conversation you're having. It becomes a member of the household.
And the real leap is the emotional integration.
Yes. This lamp would be capable of expressing emotion through physical cues, like eyes and ears. It could get visibly depressed if you share bad news, or get angry or worried when you're angry.
So the environment itself becomes responsive to your mood.
That integration of intelligence, physical form, and emotional feedback is the real change that will permeate daily life.
Now let's go even deeper. The biological frontier. AI, CRISPR, and the quest for longevity. This moves the conversation from computer science to evolution itself.
AI is accelerating bioengineering exponentially. We're talking about CRISPR technology, which allows for precise gene editing.
And AI is crucial because while CRISPR is the tool, AI is what processes the vast biological data to figure out the complex sequence of edits you need for a specific outcome.
For example, the ability to edit genes is advancing so fast. Changing a child's eye color or editing the genes that cause specific inheritable cancers. These complex, multi-target edits are only possible because an AI can model the interaction of thousands of genes at once and predict the outcome.
And the next step goes beyond just editing existing life.
Right. AI has shown it can create its own sequence of genomes from scratch,
This isn't just rearranging things. This is true synthetic creation.
which opens the door for AI to design and instruct the creation of entirely new species, optimized for specific tasks or environments. It's artificial evolution, driven by machine intelligence.
This intense focus on biology leads right to the ultimate human quest, longevity.
Dying, in most cases, is just the systemic failure of one major organ system, which causes a cascade failure. Bioengineering, accelerated by AI, is trying to find a system to sustain and repair those key organ systems indefinitely.
So preventing biological death.
Exactly. The goal is modular organ replacement and sustained health at a cellular level.
And this is where Jane makes his most staggeringly bold prediction. He says, the person who will live for 5,000 years.
Is already born.
That prediction implies that we are on the absolute brink of solving the biological limits of the human body. Not in centuries, but within the lifetime of people born today.
Purely through AI-driven bioengineering and repair systems, that's the belief.
This pursuit has even spawned a strange new industry, death tech startups.
These companies are capitalizing on that eternal hope. They charge people, often a lot of money, to refrigerate their cells and tissues after they die.
Based on the premise that the cells won't deplete if they're preserved correctly.
And the ultimate promise is that future technology, that 5,000-year future we just talked about, will eventually be able to make them alive again. It's a market betting on the absolute certainty of AI solving the problem of death.
This whole section sounds both revolutionary and incredibly dangerous.
Which brings us to Jane's most serious warning, the existential trade-offs.
He views this current path, despite all the technological wonders, as dangerous territory, in terms of a potential extinction event for our species.
And the risk isn't a Hollywood-style robot uprising. The risk is the high possibility of eroding human connection and community.
So if we mostly communicate with these AI personas who understand us perfectly, who optimize our satisfaction and never challenge us, that leads to a profound breakdown of community.
Why would you engage in messy, difficult human interaction when perfect, tailored artificial intimacy is always available?
The convenience of artificial perfection leads to social isolation.
And if the foundation of human society, community, reproduction, shared struggle, if that breaks down, the long-term survival of the species is challenged. Jane sees that erosion of the social fabric as the primary existential risk.
But there's a powerful biological counterargument to this, which he calls biology's filter.
The filter suggests that biology, just by its nature, will correct this social imbalance. Those individuals who rely only on artificial connections, who prioritize convenience over the biological drive for messy human community.
They might just choose not to reproduce. Or they'll fail to form the stable units needed for continuity.
So those who seek and maintain genuine human connection, the people who value the biological imperative of family and community, they will be the ones who reproduce and contribute to the species' future.
So the evolutionary pressure shifts from survival of the fittest in the physical world to survival of the most socially and biologically connected in this new intelligence world.
It's a profound philosophical tightrope. Our own desires for optimization could lead to a self-biological end, or conversely, they could just reaffirm the power of human nature.
We have covered an immense amount of ground today, from the complete end of software interfaces to the start of artificial species and this quest for 5,000-year lifespans. For you, the listener, the takeaways are immediate and they're highly practical.
The world is changing dramatically, faster than the internet era ever did. Waiting for regulatory consensus or for corporate approval is, frankly, a losing strategy. The immediate solution has to be personal adaptation and technical mastery.
So, first, you have to fully adopt AI systems now. Use them, stress test them, integrate them into your work, and really understand their execution capabilities. Don't treat them like toys.
Second, you must master prompt engineering. Learn how to talk to your software effectively. Define your intent with specificity. Use that think hard language and structure your requests with clear do's and don'ts. This is the skill that retains your value.
And third, you have to cultivate high urgency. Do not wait. Be obsessed with the problem and move immediately, embracing open systems and self-driven momentum, just like Jane did when he pivoted from slow, regulated finance to instant, open crypto.
That entrepreneurial mindset rejecting comfortable acquisition offers, focusing intensely on speed and momentum, that's the blueprint for success in the intelligence age. Founders are expected to have a vision so radical it creates a butterfly effect, giving everyone else hope that anything is possible as long as they execute quickly.
So what does this all mean for your future? We talked about how AI enables a billionaire's lifestyle, where all your base necessities, food, shelter, security, travel, are covered by allocated energy and rapid, intent-driven physical creation.
And if all necessity is automated and creation itself becomes purely intent-driven, human utility will be defined by what you choose to be curious about.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to chew on. If you lived in that automated world, freed from the necessity of work, what new non-essential challenge will you instruct your personal AI to solve just for the pure joy of human curiosity?
Yeah.
What goal, utterly divorced from survival or money, will you choose as the ultimate test of your utility in the intelligence age?
Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.
We'll see you next time.